A reading from the book of Deuteronomy. Moses spoke to all the people, saying, "A prophet like me will the Lord, your God, raise up for you from among your kin. To him you shall listen. This is exactly what you requested of the Lord, your God, at Horeb, on the day of the assembly, when you said, 'Let us not again hear the voice of the Lord, our God, nor see this great fire any more, lest we die.' And the Lord said to me, 'This was well said. I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their kin, and I will put my words into his mouth. He shall tell them all I command him. Whoever will not listen to my words which he speaks in my name, I myself will make him answer for it. But if a prophet presumes to speak in my name, an oracle that I have not commanded him to speak, or speaks in the name of other gods, he shall die." The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
If today you hear his voice, harden not your hearts. If today you hear his voice, harden not your hearts. Come, let us sing joyfully to the Lord. Let us acclaim the rock of our salvation. Come, let us come into his presence with thanksgiving. Let us sing joyfully psalms to him. If today you hear his voice, harden not your hearts. Come, let us bow down in worship. Let us kneel before the Lord who made us. For he is our God, and we are the people he shepherds, the flock he guides. If today you hear his voice, harden not your hearts. Oh, that today you would hear his voice. Harden not your hearts as at Meribah, as in the day of Massah in the desert, where your fathers tempted me. They tested me, though they had seen my works. If today you hear his voice, harden not your hearts.
A reading from the first letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians. Brothers and sisters, I should like you to be free of anxieties. An unmarried man is anxious about the things of the Lord, how he may please the Lord. But a married man is anxious about the things of the world, how he may please his wife, and he is divided. An unmarried woman or a virgin is anxious about the things of the Lord, so that she may be holy in both body and spirit. A married woman, on the other hand, is anxious about the things of the world, how she may please her husband. I'm telling you this for your own benefit, not to impose a restraint upon you, but for the sake of propriety and adherence to the Lord without distraction. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Then they came to Capernaum, and on the Sabbath Jesus entered the synagogue and taught. The people were astonished at his teaching, for he taught them as one having authority and not as the scribes. In their synagogue was a man with an unclean spirit. He cried out, "What have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." Jesus rebuked him and said, "Quiet, come out of him." And the unclean spirit convulsed him, and with a loud cry came out of him. All were amazed and asked one another, "What is this? A new teaching with authority. He commands even unclean spirits, and they obey him." His fame spread everywhere throughout the whole region of Galilee. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. In today's gospel, the man with an unclean spirit asked Jesus a very significant question. "What have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth?" Other translations put it this way: "What do you want of us, Jesus of Nazareth?" It's a question that each of us could ask of Jesus today. What do you want of us, Lord? In answer to this question, we may be tempted to have the same attitude as the unclean spirit. "Leave me alone, Jesus. I know who you are, the Holy One of God. Just leave me alone." When we're asked to make a commitment that's going to involve time, energy, hard work, and sacrifice, we're tempted to ask ourselves, why do I need all this hassle? I'm happy staying just the way I am. I know all about Jesus. I know he's God. I know about his church, and I belong to it. I even come to Mass regularly. So what more do you want of me, Jesus? And Jesus' answer to each one of us today is, I want much more for each of you, and I want much more from each of you. Jesus speaks to us with authority, just as he spoke to the people in the synagogue at Capernaum, just as he spoke with authority to the man with the unclean spirit. And his words both attract us and frighten us. They challenge us to the core of our being and call us to shape our lives according to his plan for us. Jesus' words attract us because he calls us to be our best selves, to be the best person we can become. He sets high standards and noble ideals for us to live up to become persons who are honest and just, loving and kind, concerned about our neighbor, dedicated to being of service to them, helping them whenever we can. He asks us to forgive others who harm us and to love even our enemies. He calls each of us to use our talents and our abilities to the fullest for our own good, for the good of others, and for his greater honor and glory. Jesus' words frighten us because we know that it's not easy to be a faithful follower of Jesus. We know our own weaknesses and failings, our tendency to be selfish instead of self-giving. We know that we have a tendency to take it easy, to do the least that's expected of us, instead of doing the most that we can. We often realize how we've grown very comfortable and attached to our own way of doing things, even when our way is not God's way. And so we are afraid to give ourselves completely over to God and trust Him to guide our actions and our lives. But what is Jesus' response to those fears that are deep within each one of us? The fear of failure, the fear of making fools of ourselves, the fear of what other people will think or say, the fear that so often stops us from being our best selves because we know that this will require generosity and sacrifice, the fear of giving of ourselves completely into God's hands. How does Jesus address these demons of fear which are within each one of us? His answer is to say with authority, "Be quiet, come out of him." When Jesus speaks, everyone is amazed that he speaks with authority. He speaks with power. And when Jesus speaks, the demons obey. And so if you're fearful of or apprehensive of doing anything that you know is God's will for you, be at peace. Know that you have the power of Jesus within you, the power that speaks with authority and can cast out all demons. And realizing this, you'll know that you need not be afraid. Later in his public ministry, Jesus would promise to give his own body and blood as food and drink to nourish us and make us spiritually strong. When he made this promise, he also spoke with authority. Every weekend, we're privileged to hear Jesus speak to us with authority when the Holy Scriptures are proclaimed in the Mass, and to receive Jesus' very body and blood in our reception of Holy Communion. In our celebration at this Mass, we're given another opportunity to acknowledge and embrace Jesus, who is truly the Holy One of God.